It's 2 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to Nedbank Business Watch this Wednesday afternoon. Very lovely to co-host this beautiful show with Lungelele Makakula this afternoon. We hope that you'll learn quite a lot today, from saving your money to knowing how to invest, as well as just keeping track with the business development and we want to do something that is really interesting and talk about an issue that speaks to borrowing money, which is a financial tool that, when used wisely, can open a lot of doors to many opportunities and help you navigate life's unexpected challenges. Life does come with a lot of challenges, sometimes expected, sometimes not expected, and that requires you to then take the responsibility to make sure that you are covered financially. And Nedbank does have an offering for you that you're going to learn about on the show today as the program progresses.
Yeah, that's right. And then later we'll be joined by economist Eswatini. We'll be discussing the implications of the civil unrest in Mozambique, implications on Eswatini. As we witness the ongoing civil unrest in Mozambique following the elections, it is crucial for Eswatini to reflect on the significant risks associated with such situations. The unrest in Mozambique and the conflicts in Eswatini in 2021 provide important lessons about the broader implications of the unrest. Senator will join us today for a discussion on the implications of the unrest and economic activities that have on the unrest. And on our news today, the Chief Executive Officer of the Eswatini Sugar Association, Banile Nyamane, says Durban is now used as the alternative port to transport local sugar to Europe markets due to the turmoil in Mozambique. Let's get straight to our first story.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Welcome back. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go straight to our first story.
Diving into our first story, Durban is now used as the alternative port to transport local sugar to Europe markets following disruptions in Mozambique due to election protests which started mid-October this year. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of Eswatini Sugar Association, Banile Nyamane, says they've had to incur 20% additional costs transporting the sugar to Durban.
The Eswatini Sugar Association generates about 7.3 billion emalangeni in revenue each year, according to the 2023-2024 annual report. Looking at the regional sugar consumption, the West and Central Europe, according to the report, consumed 10.2% of the local sugar, and Eastern Europe was at 5.8% last financial year. The ongoing election unrest in Mozambique is posing a challenge for local sugar destined for those markets. Eswatini Sugar Association's Chief Executive Officer Banile Nyamane explains.
More than 80% of our exports are sent through via the Maputo port. We do own or co-own a terminal in Maputo, which stores about 50,000 tons of bulk sugar. This is the sugar that is normally exported to the European markets. Since the protest started in Maputo, we have had interruptions in that the flow of the sugar has been suspended in some of the days whereby the protests were intense. We have had a number of few days where we were successful to send through shipments to Maputo. But obviously we are still affected in that the employees who work at our terminal in Maputo are sometimes unable to go to work due to the shortage of public transport. This has also had a knock-on effect on the vessels that are docking at the Maputo port, and this has resulted in significant delays in our shipments, which are mainly destined for the regional markets at this point. We have since rerouted some of those shipments to the port in Durban. Unfortunately, it does increase our costs slightly as the distance from the mills to Durban is much higher. We are optimistic that the Mozambicans will find a solution very soon, as we have got 2 vessels that are supposed to dock between February and March with a substantial volume of sugar that needs to be dispatched. Normally, there will be a weekly train going to Maputo. That has had to be reduced. We also then send the sugar that is in bags. They're on a daily basis. On average, we send about 4 trucks. After the start of the commencement of the protest, there were days whereby we could not send any of the trucks as some of the ports of entry in Maputo were negatively affected.
He also explains what measures they are putting in place in case of future occurrences in their routes as political tensions continue to erupt in different countries.
Fortunately, working with our partners, the likes of Eswatini Railway, they are putting up infrastructure at Mbaga that will improve the flexibility that we can have in terms of switching between Maputo and Durban to be much easier. So we are optimistic that in the future, if one country is impacted, we'll then be able to quickly reroute that sugar to the alternative port.
By the year 2022, which is the latest statistics available as per the association's report, sugar contributes 4.6% to the country's gross domestic product. The Eswatini Sugar Association uses Mozambique as a route to transport sugar to Europe, where Eswatini also imports fuel, electricity, cement and other commodities. Economist Sanele Sibia says the elections unrest in Mozambique could have a negative impact on Eswatini. For Nedbank Business Watch, Nelson Langamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Babane.
During the Private Sector Day by Business Eswatini and the International Finance Corporation last week, it was revealed that sugar cane has declined by 21 tons of canes per hectare in 5 years. The Chief Executive Officer of Eswatini Sugar Association, Banele Nyamane, says measures are being put in place to increase the yield of sugar cane.
Unfortunately, we were expecting that in 2024 we were going to see a significant recovery in our harvest. But as we speak today, the Mhlume mill has stopped crushing 3 weeks ahead of schedule because of the low volume of cane. That will significantly impact the total sugar produced in the country this year as well. What we have done is in August we had a sugar indaba that consists of a majority of the cane growers, just to understand as to what is it that has changed resulting in the low production and what can we do going forward. We have come up with a document which all members have committed to implementing the strategies that have been put there. We are optimistic that in the next 3 to 5 years we should see a significant recovery in sugar production. Some of the elements included there, things, for instance, like crop rotation. We have somehow in the past stopped rotating whenever we're plowing out the sugar. Ideally, you are supposed to plant another crop for a short period so that you replenish nutrients. I think some of the growers have not been doing that in the past. So we'll now be enforcing to make sure that we all do that so that the soil retains its nutrients to be able to produce adequately. Also, we noted that there were some husbandry issues in terms of how we're handling the harvesting of the cane. which then increase the risk of pests and diseases. We will be addressing those issues. We are also continuing to explore varieties that are resilient to the prevailing climatic conditions. We have a number of seed cane that is undergoing trials in the country and in South Africa, and we're optimistic that very soon we'll be able to identify the right varieties that are suitable for these climatic conditions.
All right, that's it for our business news. It's 11 minutes after 2. Thank you for staying with us. Those were the headlines of our news.
Mzwandile Dlamini, External Sales, Nedbank in Mbabane, is in our studios. He's ready to help us understand when and how to borrow money from Nedbank, as you will need to borrow money after the break. This is Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. We are getting into our interesting interview segment with Nedbank. We want to talk all things borrowing money, which is a financial tool that, when used wisely, can open a lot of doors to opportunities, and as well as, help you navigate life's unexpected challenges. But let's face it, I think, deciding between loans, overdrafts, or credit cards can feel like a maze, right? Especially with all the terms, the fees, and all the interest rates that are involved. We want this afternoon to demystify all of that. And joining me is Mzwandile Dlamini from the Workplace Department, External Sales in Mbabane. Is going to help us make sense of borrowing. What do you need to know before applying for a loan? That's a big question. When should you consider an overdraft instead of a credit card? And how do you make the best choice for your needs? Mzwandile is here, and good afternoon to you, Ngosi. Thank you for joining us on the program. An important conversation. It is the festive season. I know a lot of people are looking to borrow money right now. Some are making big purchases in terms of cars, homes, whatever. But just talk to me when to get a loan as a consumer, as a customer.
Thank you so much, Mguni. As you have said, I'm Mzwandile Dlamini from the External Sales. I'm coming from Nedbank. To answer your question, Mguni, when a person wants to get a loan, first of all, there should be a need to the customer to say he wants to do something. Then if you want to do something, you will need a loan, especially if you want to acquire assets. For you to have assets, you need to borrow money from the bank.
Yeah.
That is a loan. So you have identified the need of the loan. Then the bank, as money experts that are doing good, they've got the credit facilities that will help you, as have been mentioned, overdraft, loan, and credit card, to assist you to deal with that financial expertise. So what is happening is that in a loan, we're talking about a long-term credit facility. A loan can go, depending to that parameters of the banks, to say maybe you're taking 5 years, that is 60 months, 38, 48 months, depending on the product that you are going to have.
What do the repayment terms look like then?
Yes, the repayment terms, it's between 6 months and 60 months. Then you can choose in between to say how long are you going to take for the loan. And I must say that to the consumers, when you are taking loans, you must know that the longer the period, the more the interest that you are going to pay on that loan. And as well as if it is short period, which means you are going to pay little interest on your loan.
Yeah, it makes it easier for me to budget as well as to plan for my finances when you speak about the repayment terms, in terms of them being fixed like that. But I do also want to understand how interest rates work in there, the lower interest rates.
Yes, interest. You mean it? Interest rates. It depends on the period and the interest rates that is given by the central bank.
Okay.
That is prime. Currently, prime we are trading at 10.75%. Then the bank is adding 10% on the prime. That's making it to be 20.75 per annum. Yes, it is calculated per annum. Then if you want to get it on monthly basis, we can say that 20.75 divided by 12. Then we get how much we can pay on monthly installments.
And I suppose that would mean if I have a good credit record, I will have lower interest rates. Is that correct?
Yes, if you have a good credit record, it's very important that you look at your behavior on the credits. You make sure that you pay your loans on time. You don't make areas with the bank. That's really count, because we as financial institution, we work on credit history to say, how do you perform? How do you do with your loans? Okay, there is another thing in Nedbank whereby you find that we're having schemes finance. Schemes finance, I will say to the consumers, it's very important, because when we talk about schemes finance, it's whereby we lower the interest rate. Currently, we are pushing lowering the interest rate by 4% from the market rate. That is very, very big. For someone who is a consumer, then you can save a lot from that initiative. So I will encourage customers to say, if you do have scheme with Nedbank at your working place, make sure that you utilize that.
Interesting indeed. 4% is quite significant.
Yeah, it's quite significant. From the current economy. If they are saying you're paying less than 4%, no, you're doing fine.
You're doing fine indeed.
Yes.
I want to understand when to get an overdraft now. It's a conversation that recurs most of the time, and overdrafts have proven to be very helpful for a lot of clients.
Yes, Mguri, you are correct. An overdraft, it's a credit that is given to you based on the account that you are using. Let me be clear there that overdrafts are given to current accounts users. Overdraft, it's given equivalent to your net pay. That is the money that the bank is trusting you that you can utilize it and be able to pay it. What is nice about it is that overdraft, it's a revolving credit. You see, you don't need to pay it at a certain point, but after a period of 12 months, you renew your overdraft. If you don't want it, you are the one who just give the terms to say, just start to reduce it with 200 or that 500 until it gets finished.
And they always come in, very, very helpful. Emergency situations, I suppose, an overdraft could be there to help you, especially, like you said, in these current economic times.
Yes. They are very helpful because, as I've said, that you don't have a stipulated repayment on the overdraft. And it can help you to balance your cash flow.
And they're easy to access.
And they're easy to access because usually they don't consider the 33% that we consider when we're doing loans and credit cards. So the overdrafts are viable. On the overdraft part, we also have the excess that is used.
Let's get into the credit card. When to get it in particular. I can understand the everyday purchases situation. Is that something that is advisable?
Yes, it is advisable that you can use the credit card. The credit card is very important. I must state it that it's also a credit facility that the bank is having, and it can be used internally, even outside the country. And you also, know that technology has changed now. People are buying online. So the credit card, it helps you to be able to buy online. Since we are on festive season, there are a lot of things that people would love to buy.
And I suppose still using it responsibly still makes sense and it matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to use the facility responsible.
Right.
Yes, for you, so that you can benefit. It cannot give you a credit card. Maybe you want to use it going to Durban. Yet you are still going to pay the money. We're expecting to say if you use our credit facilities, also you must see what you have benefits. You as a consumer, you must buy tangible things that you're going to show to say, okay, with the credit card I have from Nedbank or the loan I get from Nedbank, I was able to achieve 1, 2, 3. And it is nice in your heart if you are paying something that you see with your eyes. It shows development in your life to say, the bank is developing you, is taking you from step 1 to step 2, step 3.
And I suppose it also, trickles into your credit history, which in turn speaks to your, obviously, your credit score. And that is something that you guys don't take lightly.
Definitely. That is why we are saying we have to access you first. Because all credit facility, before you get it, you have to qualify. You see. So the qualification for getting a credit, it goes with your account conduct. And how do you conduct your account? It goes with the debts that you have. We also look at your records. If you are not bad debted by ITC and all the stuff. So we consider that very much. So we are saying for customers, they must keep their conduct good in order for them to get the facilities with the bank.
Yeah. I can imagine a lot of people who want the credit card are people that need it. That goes without saying. But if we want to make it practical right now, we can speak to the parent that has a child that's going back to school after these holidays. All these offers that you've spoken about, the overdrafts, the benefits that come with the credit card, talk to that person at home why they should get it, and all the advantages that come with it.
Yes, as we have said that there will be school opening soon after the Christmas strike. So we're saying people, they should spend wisely and they should know what to use. For instance, we are promoting that for now. Let people take the overdraft facilities because they want to manage their cash flow, so that let them take the overdraft facilities, the access facilities, the credit cards. We must know that school is going to open. We're having kids that have to go to school. So we have to consider all that because it has to happen within us.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's important. I suppose the big question then becomes, for me to access all those things, obviously, you guys require some sort of paperwork, or like we've already alluded to the credit score one, but there are other things that are required. What is really required of me as someone who's watching at home and I want to get a hold of the credit card?
Okay, if you want to get hold of the credit card, it's almost like all the credit facilities. We must have your pay slip. And have your confirmation letter. Definitely we're going to do the affordability on the credit card. We consider the 33% that we have to look at as per our government, and that really also shows us that you are able to live if you are within your 33%. So if you come with those documents, we will do your credit card. What is good is that your credit card facility is approved within Swaziland, in our country. So it won't take long. It can't last for more than a week. Yes.
I think it's important that anyone that's going to come and look for a loan from you guys has really assessed their financial situation and the fact that they will indeed be able to repay it. Correct?
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
They have to be assessed. We also the bankers are there to assist with the accessing. So they will do with you the paperwork and see if you do qualify or you don't. If ever you don't, they are going to tell you to say maybe you need to wait for 2 months or what until you are able to be afforded that facility. But definitely we make sure we help you.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. I think before I let you go, the viewer at home wants to know how to get a hold of Nedbank.
Okay, thank you so much. To our client, we can say they can use their app, so that if they use their app, it triggered to our office. Then we will contact the customer to say if they want to get help. They can also call our help desk, where they can get information. They can also go to their nearest branches where they can get the information and they help them. And also there is the external sales, which goes to your working place. You log a call from the help desk, then we will be able to know where you are. Then we will come straight where you are working.
Right, thank you, Mzwandile. That was Mzwandile Dlamini, External Sales, Nedbank Mbabane, helping us navigate and make the smart decisions that we need to make about the monies that we are going to need to make big purchases, as well as the purchases that matter, like paying for your child's school fees. Anyway, we have discussed an insightful conversation this afternoon. If you do want to learn more, or if you do want to get assisted with this offering, make sure that you do get in touch with Nedbank Eswatini and their help desk number 3278 1000. They're also available on social media. They're available on LinkedIn, on X, as well as Facebook at Nedbank Eswatini. Perhaps I want to reiterate the number 3278 1000. That's it for this segment. Let's go for that break. We'll be back shortly.
Welcome back. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. The ongoing unrest in Mozambique has cast a long shadow over the nation's economic prospects, with far-reaching consequences not only for the country but for the broader southern African economy. Eswatini imports fuel, electricity and other commodities from Mozambique. We're now joined by economist Sanela Sibiya to discuss how Eswatini can be impacted by this political unrest. A very good afternoon, Mr. Sibiya. Thank you for joining us this afternoon on Business Watch. Civil unrest can severely disrupt economic activities, as we saw in Eswatini way back in 2021. Businesses closed and others halted operations. Do we see this happening again with the situation in Mozambique? What are the risks associated with the unrest for Eswatini?
Good afternoon, Lou, and thank you for having me. So when we are looking at what's happening in Mozambique, that's really sad, and it is actually going to have quite market impacts on the Eswatini economy. So when we are looking at the trade relations between Mozambique and Eswatini, you can see that we do import right about 64 million of Mozambique of $64 million of Mozambique's product, and we do export around 61 million to the Mozambican market, 61 million US dollars. So that should bring us about to, it comes up to around 1.1 billion. 1.1 billion per annum in terms of our exports to the country of Mozambique. So we cannot then expect this basic unrest not to have those impacts on Eswatini. We are looking at roughly around 3 million worth of exports a day that should go to Mozambique. And on any given point when there are those unrest at the border, or whenever it's just basically difficult to move those commodities, that means that's commerce that Eswatini is not able to execute during those days. And you can see the numbers add up. So these numbers do not actually include the numbers of goods in transit, the goods that are going to have to use the port of Maputo. So this is just basically exports destined for the Mozambique markets. And when you look at the imports that come into the country, amongst those is refined petroleum products. And we do know that Gulf Energia is largely based in Mozambique. So that means should the Gulf Energia not be able to move their products, then we are going to have that supply chain disruption. And if you recall the story around that, there was actually an issue around buying within SACO and all of those quotas. So right now, it's not an issue of a quota. It's just going to be an issue of that supply chain disruption, and that's definitely going to affect commerce within Eswatini, more especially those that rely on that type of fuel. And then you also need to look into other issues such as the other commodities that we do import from Mozambique. If you look at the numbers, if you look at the inflation numbers, and you look at those building construction numbers, you can actually basically tell Lou that the cost of construction has actually increased, and it was products coming through Mozambique that were making it a bit bearable, because you'd find that cement that's been imported through that route is relatively cheaper. So when this whole scuffle started, we were of the view that eventually it was going to come to an end very fast, and just giving supply chains that leeway to somehow respond. But right now, what you are seeing is with these continued disruptions, this also now imposes an additional cost on those businesses exporting from Mozambique into Eswatini. So we are actually going to feel that security premium coming into play. And then as well, there is that flea market that has been booming in Eswatini, what we usually call Toba Pansi. And what you are seeing there is with these disruptions and the more difficult it gets to travel into Mozambique, that market is actually going to be decimated, Lou. And we find that it's a market that services the low end of our economic spectrum. It was basically a survival means for quite a number of Emaswati. And if this continues, we should expect to see those people, those Emaswati, suffer even more, because it's not like theirs is an easy trade where you can reroute supply chains and quite a number of alternatives. This is a market that doesn't have those alternatives, but it does service quite a number of people, right? And then when you look into the electricity space, we don't know if the protests are going to escalate to a point where it calls for that type of national shutdown where people can't even move from one place to another. I mean, there's a sad situation we saw in Eswatini at some point in 2021 where you couldn't even leave your house. So that means you might find that that grid also just gets affected one way or the other. But we don't foresee that happening until and unless we see an even much higher escalation in the violence in Mozambique.
Just one last question before I let you go. You only have a minute. The turmoil in Mozambique may cause the economy to be unstable, as we've just highlighted that it has negatively affected commerce and trade for Eswatini. Do you foresee ripple effects throughout the SADC region?
Yes, definitely. It will have those ripple effects, and because you do know that Mozambique is part of the SADC power pool. And, Mozambique is an integrated member of SADC, and we were actually hoping and praying that we were going to get a bit cheaper fuel coming through from Mozambique until the insurgency that happened before these elections. And now you are seeing this election violence. So it might actually garner or bolster those insurgents to get back into arms and, try to retake that northern part of Mozambique. And once we start seeing that turmoil within the entire SADC region, it will actually just start rippling through, because we'd have to then, allocate those resources to ensuring that we do bring about a bit of calm in the region. So the region does not need any disturbance. Lou, the calm that we were enjoying in the region was one of the major standing points that we had in terms of trade and commerce.
Thank you, Mrs. Bia, for your time. That was Mrs. Bia, in-house economist, just shedding light on the implications of the civil unrest going on in Mozambique for the Eswatini economy. Let's go for an ad break. We'll be back shortly.
Exactly 36 minutes after 2. Thank you for staying with us. This is our Enterprise Watch segment. Financial inclusion is crucial for fostering economic growth, reducing inequality, and promoting social stability. When individuals and businesses have access to affordable and reliable financial services, they can better manage their resources, build wealth, as well as invest in opportunities. With the rise of Eswatini struggling to pay their debts lately, business journalist Nelson Langamandla sat down with the Financial Inclusion Manager at the Center for Financial Inclusion, Prudence Mnisi, to just find out how, the latest projects being done to promote financial literacy are doing.
Manager, Financial Inclusion, welcome to the show. We've been reading reports from the Central Bank of Eswatini and non-banking financial institutions. They are saying that Eswatini are struggling with paying their debts. This got me thinking about what initiatives and strategies is the Center for Financial Inclusion doing to ensure that Eswatini are financially literate.
Currently, we are focusing on the implementation of the National Financial Education Strategy, which we developed in 2023 to 2028. The focus of that strategy is to enhance the financial capability of Eswatini, and not just only Eswatini, but the SMEs as well. So what we are doing, particularly for the SMEs, since your interest is on that one, we have developed a module to facilitate financial education for MSMEs in the country. And we want you to understand that when you talk about financial education for MSMEs, normally sometimes people think about financial management. This is financial education so that the SMEs are empowered to manage their finances, starting from understanding that at the personal level, how am I supposed to manage my finances? At the household level, how am I supposed to manage my finances? Because the two elements then impact how well you'll manage your finances when it comes to managing your business finances. So that is the focus that we are currently doing as the Center for Financial Inclusion. We've started with one key element whereby we had undertaking a financial education training for the youth enterprise. What we're doing there, we're actually building the capacity of young SMEs in the country so that they are financially savvy when it comes to managing their finances, both at a personal household level and at a business level.
How many businesses are you targeting, Magem Nisi, and how do you find the participants? I know we've seen you working with the Federation of Eswatini Business Community, but now we've got the Youth Chamber of Commerce Industries, we've got ESNICA, and we've got the Chamber of Commerce, which is a new micro, small and medium enterprise business chamber. How well do you work with them?
Actually, we are quite happy with the partnership that we have developed so far with First Big, because we have realized that when we're doing our roadmap towards transitioning the SMEs into the greener economy, they were our entry point in terms of accessing the SMEs that were a focus of that study. And now we are realizing that we need to expand our scope to also interact with the other business associations that are in the country. Like you spoke to the Chamber of Youth Commerce. We need to now target them in terms of this intervention. For now, we were focusing on First Big because the study that we were doing was focusing on the MSMEs. So we worked well with those ones, and we consider them a key partner, particularly in terms of now driving the agenda and implementing the roadmap that I just highlighted that we have developed, because now we need to focus on the implementation. The relationship should not just be on the development of the roadmap, but in terms of the actual implementation, we expect them to play a key role. In our corporate strategy now, we are targeting to focus in all the 4 regions of the country. We've budgeted quite a huge budget whereby we are expecting to conduct 30 financial education workshops in each region and targeting about per region 40 of these SMEs. So learning from the training that we undertaken with the Youth Enterprise Fund, we've actually realized that financial education does impact on the way the business is supposed to grow and how those people are supposed to manage their businesses, such that we are expecting to upscale the training for all the youth businesses in the country drawing lessons from the one that we conducted for Youth Enterprise Fund, because from the participants we have learned that over the years they've been understanding financial education not necessarily as personal financial management that then impact on how you need to manage your finances when it comes to managing your business, as well as for them financial literacy, it was business management. Yet these two elements are not the same, they're totally different.
I appreciate everything that the Center for Financial Inclusion is doing to help small and medium enterprises and Eswatini, but how do you evaluate everything that we've done? Besibona ngaphambilini ukhanze ukuthi kuba nema-workshops but kungasajikwa kuyobukwa lokho ukuthi engabe lebe kade sikwenda vele kunawo yini umthelela longiwo kulamaswati besiwafundzisa.
Actually, the good thing is the module that we are currently using, it was developed by the ILO. So the first thing that you do if you are to deliver the ILO financial education program, you start first by conducting an evaluation of or doing an assessment of the participants before they even start the program. And then at the end of the program, you also then conduct your own evaluation in terms of how well have they consumed the content. And after that, after a period of 6 months, we then need to conduct an impact evaluation to see if what we have taught them, they're actually applying, and if it does actually improve on the business side of their content. So that is what we are also looking into, that we've delivered the trainings, but we need to be deliberate after 6 months to follow up with those young people if they are applying, and if they are applying, then are they seeing the desired results in terms of what they want to see in terms of the improvement of their businesses.
I've been reading reports from the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade. I've learned that most of the small and medium enterprises are owned by young people. How do you ensure that young people are part of the trainings that you are conducting? And if they want to join these trainings, what should they do? How should they go about it?
Within our National Financial Inclusion Strategy, one of the key target group that we need to be focusing on and to be deliberate on is the young people. And we are currently looking at soliciting funding so that we develop a roadmap that is targeted at the financial inclusion of the young people. We have so far developed quite a number of financial inclusion roadmaps, like we have the gender inclusive financial roadmap, we have the forcibly displaced financial inclusion roadmap, and now we have the transitioning the SME sector into the greener economy roadmap. And these roadmaps are helping us in terms of mapping the way forward, in terms of integrating these key sectors into the financial inclusion agenda. But now we need to be deliberate in terms of having a roadmap now that now is targeted at ensuring that our youth are fully participating and they are fully benefiting from the broader financial inclusion agenda. So far, we have not mapped that agenda for them. But that being the case, we still have a program, the Financial Inclusion and Cluster Development Program, which has a separate intervention just targeted at young people in the country. But it's just that now we need that deliberate strategy for their inclusion within the broader National Financial Inclusion Strategy.
I am interested in the exact amount that you have requested from the Ministry of Finance to conduct the workshops on financial education. And is it going to be enough for all the regions, all the people that you are going to train?
It's quite a lot, but it will also depend on whether government gives us that subvention. But in terms of the trainings, I would safely say we've budgeted about 2 million for the 4 regions of the country. We've allocated for each region 500,000. So, but that will depend on whether we do get the approval for that budget for us to be able to roll out the programs in the 4 regions of the country and to make the desired impact.
Besides the financial education program, Magemnisi, do you have any other future plans to ensure that Eswatini have access to finance?
In the long term, as the Center for Financial Inclusion, we are looking into partnering with financial institutions that are not necessarily commercial banks to ensure that we reach out to those that are at the bottom end of the pyramid. We are looking into working with microfinance institutions and savings and credit cooperatives, those that will be willing to establish fund, what I would say, those that will be willing to establish mechanisms to assist micro and small medium enterprises in terms of accessing financial services and products. But why we are doing that, we understand that for most of Eswatini that are at the bottom end of the pyramid, they are not yet ready to access financial services and products from the commercial banks. But then we believe that through microfinance institutions and savings and credit cooperatives, that can be a roadmap through which we prepare them to access financial services and products, starting from that lower level. And with time, they will then be graduated to access financial services and products from the commercial banks. So our roadmap is starting with the microfinance institutions, savings and credit cooperatives, to establish that window whereby they can lend to the micro and small medium enterprises, even households at that level whereby they need funding to start whatever projects or to even improve their households. So we are looking in the long term to work with those, but at the same time developing a clear graduation plan to graduate them to the commercial banks so that they can get maximum funding that will then improve their livelihoods. Because we know that when we talk about microfinance institutions and SACCOs, we find that the funding that they require is limited, but the much funding that is they require, it can only be obtained from the banks. So we are working with that graduation plan to say, let us start with microfinance institutions, build the capacity of these people to access and to repay. And once we've built that confidence within the individual MSMEs and their businesses, then the banks will be interested to then lend to these small and micro medium enterprises, because by then they would have had a footprint and they would have developed that confidence that yes, we are in a position to take loans and be in a position to pay back the loans.
What you are doing, Magemnisi, as the Center for Financial Inclusion is very, very important, because you are educating the nation on how to handle money. Good luck as you request the budget to conduct the different trainings. We are hoping that you'll get the 2 million emalangeni. Thank you so much for being with us.
That was our business journalist, Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla, in a very important conversation. Let's go for a net break. Foreign exchange, commodities and equities. Toba helps us understand all the numbers that matter today after the break. 49 minutes after 2. Thank you for staying with us. Our market analysis segment now. Toba Kamete, Treasury Sales Manager with Nedbank Eswatini, is in studio. Very good afternoon to you, Toba. Let's look at the numbers of the day. We'll start with the foreign exchange, but I'm rushing to understand commodities, so I'm a bit conflicted. But let's start with the foreign exchange. It's showing marginal losses today. What factors are driving these mixed performances? Because I'm seeing that the GBP SZL strengthens today. Yeah.
Thank you, Sriso, and good afternoon to your viewers. So when you look at foreign exchange today, I'll start just by giving a brief background with the rand. So the rand yesterday showed a bit of resilience. The Statistics South Africa released Q3 GDP numbers, and it showed that the South African economy contracted by 0.3%. The market was anticipating a growth of 0.5%. So we would expect that the rand will lose quite a bit of ground because of that, but it's showing a bit of resistance, and it's still trading pretty much at the same levels that we've been seeing for the rest of the week.
But not what they expected.
No, definitely not what we expected. So
Right,
it's showing
right.
to be a bit resilient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you look at the rand against the dollar, it's at 18.1475, having slightly lost about 0.39%. And then we against the euro at 19.0545, slightly lower by 23%. And it has gained against the pound. So against the dollar, markets are sort of just cautious today. We have the Fed chairperson giving a speech later on in the day about the trajectory that they are likely to take when it comes to interest rates ahead of their final meeting in December, this month for the year. So investors are sort of waiting to see the tone of that speech and what he's going to share. We are also expecting to see private sector employment numbers coming out of the US today. So all of that information, is keeping investors at bay of making critical decisions. They just want to wait it out and see what happens. You note that against the GBP, the rand has gained a bit of strength there.
Yeah.
The chairperson, or rather the governor of the Bank of England this morning, came out to say that they are going to cut interest rates, I think at least about 4 times in 2025. So that has sort of then weakened the Great British Pound.
Yeah, so I suppose businesses, as they, wonder how to navigate these fluctuations, we can't really speak on it right now. They want to wait for tonight.
Yes, they want to see what comes out of the US in terms of the private sector employment number, as well as the interview with the Fed chairperson that he will have that sit down with the Financial Times this afternoon.
All right, commodities. I was rushing to understand this because we're seeing gold going upward, and then Brent crude is edging higher. How do these movements reflect global economic sentiment?
All right, so I'll start with gold. There is quite a uncertainty in the global environment. I think in the Eurozone in France, there is a parliamentary sitting this afternoon where the members are going to vote in a no confidence against the Prime Minister. There's also the South Korean president who introduced or briefly introduced martial law, but has since lifted that. So all of that uncertainty in the global economy
Japan
makes investors to be a bit jitter about where they put their money. So they then opt for safer haven options like gold. So you'll see the price of gold then edging up 0.2%, trading at 2,648.85 per ounce.
Very expensive.
And then the
Brent crude story?
Brent crude, yes, also up, trading at $73.85 per barrel. So there are a couple of things. I think I'll touch on 2. The first one is the continuing conflict in the Middle East. Israel saying that if the resolution or the treaty that they are working on fails, then they are going to attack, so that uncertainty then drives the price up, as well as there's an OPEC meeting on Friday, tomorrow, the 5th. Sorry about that. Just getting my dates mixed. On the 5th of December, which is tomorrow, OPEC will meet and make a decision on their output cuts. We know that they've been scaling back on the amount of oil that they produce, so they are going to make a decision if that is going to continue. Market is speculating that that will continue until the first quarter of 2025. So if that continues, then it means the price of oil is going to go up because then there is less supply.
That's going to hurt. So it's going to hurt
Yeah.
a lot of us. Equities, the S&P 500, as well as the JSE All Share Index, they are posting modest gains. The FTSE on the other side, it surges ahead. What is the story here?
All right, so I'll just start with the S&P 500. As you can see, it's up marginally, 0.05%, trading at $6,049.88. So there, it's mostly led by tech-related stocks. I think the Q3 financial performance numbers that have been coming out, or that these companies are reporting, have been quite good. So investors are then, liking that, and their share prices are then going up, as well as President Trump getting into the White House again. So that has sort of given U.S. stocks, to have quite a good November, I would say.
Yeah, having Elon there surely helps.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the foods, as we've said, it's significantly up 0.56% at 8,359.41 pounds. So when it comes to the foods, there's quite a few companies that have reported quite good numbers as well. But we are expecting that will sort of come to a decline with the governor saying that they'll be cutting interest rates. And we know that just now, I think AstraZeneca also reported quite significant losses. So we expect that will sort of start to decline.
Thank you, Toba. Thank you for the insight that you have provided us today. Treasury Sales Manager with Nedbank, Toba Gamete. We'll go for a net break and we'll wrap up the show with Lungelele Masbuya.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
All right, it's 2 minutes before 3 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. You were watching Nedbank Business Watch. If you've just joined us, worry not, you can still watch this episode on our YouTube page, Eswatini TV.
Yeah, thank you for staying with us. It has been a lovely afternoon. We hope that you continue to enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.
It's a squishy, squashy, cuddly, snuggly, bouncy place to stay. Where we run and jump, tumble and bump in a cushiony kind of way.